Hey, good evening, everybody. Alright. Alright, well, this is comparatively simple, I suppose. We got this in quite some time ago, and it was diagnosed as a dead CPU, and I subsequently quoted the person a replacement mainboard option, they went for it. So we got the mainboard today, and I fitted it, and it runs, but then when I went to do the reboot, lo and behold, I get this 15-20 second delay before the Apple logo comes up. And it's at that point that I realized that I had made a mistake. And that mistake was to assume that there was a valid EFI on this. And I thought I could get away with just running with whatever serial number and EFI setup they'd put into this, but clearly that is not the case. So not a problem. I'll take this opportunity to put a new ME region onto the EFI and also reassert the original serial number. So that's all this is going to be about. It's just a bit of a schlep because it's these aren't the quickest machines to disassemble. It's certainly no 1707, but not 1707. What am I thinking of? The A1990. That's the one I hate, with the 820-01700 board in it, with its 1 trillion little flexes that are everywhere. Very frustrating board, that one. It's a mistake because I should have just assumed it was going to be a bodge job in the first place, the main board. I should have assumed that it was going to have a trash EFI in the first place, and subsequently do the replacement before I even put the board in. To be fair, half of what was driving me was I wanted to see that the board actually worked before I did any meddling with it, because obviously, it's, if I want the warranty to apply, best I don't meddle with it too much. Not that I imagine I get a good response on the warranty, but anyway, we'll see. Or rather, let's hope not. And hopefully I can do a clean enough job with the EFI replacement that I don't need to do a board wash. I mean, I've got to take the chip off anyway, so it's irrelevant whether I swap it or whether I reprogram it. I mean, I suppose I could use something like a Medusa, but I don't do enough BIOS replacements to warrant getting a Medusa. I'm not even sure if that works with this model, but anyway, being a 138, but yeah, anyway. Oh well, just means we'll have a little more practice on doing our ME region and serial number modifications. I guess there's no harm in that. Except when I can't remember whether... we've got everything, Paul? Ah, yeah, just sticky. Yeah, I generally don't expect there to be any real warranty on this. About the only way that I would get a warranty on this is if I can test it with or in this case AliExpress, and have them rule in my favour. But the chances aren't great on that one. Alright, I'm not exactly sure where the EFL is on the 138. Anyway. Hey Solaris. Let's see. ROM U6100. Oh, right. Geez, blind as a bat right there. No, you can't see. Anyway, overhead. By the way, I've been doing some work with, damn it, where is he? Hey, I am 6kills. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong again, but anyway, the person I mistakenly keep calling Damaras, and we're working on the conversion of the, what is it? Cadence Allegro binary BRD format, and we're managing to generate GenCAD files out of it, and they're reading properly now with Flexboard View. Well, with the latest version that I've got here. There was a couple of little hiccups that I had in the code interpretation due to a slight ambiguity in the document. Well, it wasn't actually, no, I'll be honest. It wasn't ambiguity in the documentation, it was ambiguity in the way I read it. Because there were two clarifications in very different sections of the document, and I didn't read the second clarification. So it was my own fault. Hey Tony, Travis. Yeah, so we're getting good results now. I'm pretty happy with it. I'm trying to think, actually, we might show one of the examples. Alright. Hopefully I got this one right. Yep, okay, this is it. It looks a little bit funny because of the fact that we don't have the proper board outlines yet. But as you can see, yeah, it's reading quite good. The nice thing about the GenCAD one is that we do get things like pad outlines, proper shapes for the parts, nice pads there. No more having to guess it. There are a few things that might be a little bit funny, like this RTC. I'm not sure why that hasn't come through. Maybe there isn't a pad definition for it. That's probably the battery for the BIOS clock. Anyway, so it is working, and it'll be nice if we can find a workflow to convert the Allegro binaries. It'd be even nicer if we found out the format specification, but at least we do have a possibility of being able to convert them. Let's see. Whoops, microscope. Anyway, let's get to what we're really here for, which is to fix up this BIOS. And naturally, of course, we've got a soft piece of plastic in the way. So I'm going to try my best not to butcher that too much, which isn't the easiest thing, to be honest. Might actually have to come in at this angle. I did, at least when I booted, confirm that this board is legitimately these specs, as in 2.2 i7 16 gigs, so thank goodness for that. I would be rather displeased if I booted to find that it was some i5 knockoff or something like that. Evening admin. I do have a lot of other boards, funnily enough, in GenCAD format, like, but they're not MacBook boards. So they're schematics. So most of them are MSI boards, I think. What's going on here? Samples, GenCAD, yeah, MSI stuff. Some of them are good, some of them are not. I don't know. Some of it's probably my code, some of it's their code. But yeah, like that's PC mainboards. Very rare to come across this stuff, but obviously it wasn't this particular instance. Interesting that the SATA connectors are a little bit skewed there. Yeah, I don't know whether it's because of my data lacking or something else, but it doesn't matter. Let's get back to the microscope. Catherine, where's your cat? But GenCAD is a nice format. It's... oh crikey. I'm just going about this as if I'm not going to be... Sorry, as if I am going to be ultrasonicking the board. And I'm actually want to do my very best to not do that. So I really need to switch over into Jason Vilma mode and start using a toothpick to apply flux. Evening, Kristen. Alright. Even though it's a bit excessive for Jason Vilma levels. Once the chip's gone, we can clean up a bit. That is really good timing, Jason. Welcome. Yes, I was just saying I went a little bit crazy there with the flux when I was trying to be you, and what do you know, you turn up. Nice to see you. I thought you'd be busy with your iPhones. Always a pleasure to have you around. Hell of a coincidence. It's more of a Fermento-Rossmann level of flux. I mean, I get it. He's got shares in Amtech, so he's got to boost up the consumption. We're just listening in the background. Alright. Oh, it'll be good to see another video from you in less than 1 year. Not sure the internet could handle that. Okay, so that's our BIOS sitting on the chip holder. Now with this one I'm not even going to bother reading that chip. It's a bit of a dud anyway, so no need for it. We'll just put that in there. But what we really need to do now is get a copy of the clear ME region for the 138 and put in the serial number. So let's see. I think 454. Okay, so we have our serial number here. Wait, what? Oh, this doesn't even have one in there. That's interesting. I can't remember if there's supposed to be a space there or not. That's funny. I'll just have a look at someone else's. No, you do not use Vim for that. It's rather hard to edit hex in Vim. There is a mode for it though, at least. I can find... Yeah, SSN, then 1 to OCOO, and then start. So 1 to OCOO. Alright, so we start. Oh, right, well, where all the damn F's are. Well, F me. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the serial number is not actually on the job sheet, so I'm going to have to take it from the back of the board here. I've forgotten if I'm in insert mode or not. I guess we'll see when we press the first character, which is always... Okay, we are, right. C, O2, Q6Y, Q6Y... Reg 8 WN. Reg 8 WN. Oh, should have known, or right aligned with the HWC. G8WN, and yeah, the G8WN there. So that's how we know that this clean ME region is actually meant for this board, because it's got the last 4 digits the same, and the last 4, I should say last 4 bytes tend to indicate the board type, or the machine type. So we save that, and then we've just got to now bring it up in the UEFI tool so that we can get the checksum that we need. I can cheat and load the same file concurrently, because all I'm doing is reading the file. Okay, and so it does correctly say that it's invalid for the CRC. And what do we want? And we just got to walk this section here backwards. As soon as I can find out the place point, which is right there. And we want D7, 02, BO, BC. And that should about do it. Save. Now we reload it into the UEFI tool, and it should now say that it's valid. Whoops. And yep, sure enough, it's valid. Tony, it's off the chassis, not the board. Okay. So we've got our DB-DACA. That's the professional term for these things, the DB-DACA. And because I can't remember a damn thing about anything I'm doing, I'm going to have a look at my mini tool history. Okay, so mini pro, right, new.bin. I'm actually going to be really naughty and cheat here. Mind you, I actually already know what this is. It's going to be the MX25W SOM thingy. Can't show you my password. You'll realize it's all ones. Alright, now we wait. The slow process. Now I can sit here and read the even slower text. ME region has to be the most annoying thing ever. Yep, I tend to agree with you. So Jason, what failures of Apple iPhones have you got today? You got 12s or 11s today? And are you dealing with some other shop's complete botch-up work or something else? Hey, Steve B. Greg M. Watched an 8-hour, 30,000 computer build yesterday. It was a Threadripper system capable of ingesting feeds from 32 external sources. I'm presuming video and standard high definition. I do need to upgrade my machine to handle 60 frames per second. I was looking at someone else who does repairs, not Lewis, and they have 60 frames per second or 50 frames per second, and it just is so much nicer. The clarity of the actual per frame clarity doesn't really change much, but just the fluidity of watching it makes it feel crisp and alive. So I really do want to upgrade this machine to something that can do 60 frames per second. My current machine is a i5 8400, so 8th gen, and I don't run a GPU in it. I'm using a AJAR Koji or whatever 4-port capture card. I figure I really need to go to something like i7 10th generation if I want to be able to do 60 frames per second without relying on a external capture card, on a separate GPU. Hey RTC. I've never been a big fan with using external GPUs on Linux. It's always been too much of a crap shot, particularly when you're running multiple displays. If you throw multiple displays and Linux with an accelerated GPU, it's just purely a nightmare. It really is. So I'll just simply prefer to put the investment into the CPU, so henceforth I'll go for an i7 10th gen, or I don't think there's much value in the 11th gen, I'm not sure. I can't remember what the reviews were like. Now I know I could go with say an AMD, and I do love AMD. I mean, I was all over their Opterons. I just loved that chip, that Opteron series. But I have to be realistic, and 90% of the time, it's just less drama for me to stick with something like an Intel i7. And I mean, the Intel internal GPUs are quite good these days. I am kind of curious to see what the Intel external GPU is going to be like. Nightmare because of the drivers and just the fact there's just all sorts of quirky interactions that go on. I mean, I've been using Linux for a very long time now. Well, 25 years plus. And it's just a consistent theme that unless you stick with basically something that is supported through and through at the kernel, you're almost going to get trouble. So back then, that meant using mostly Intel CPUs with 3COM 3C509s and a S3 Verge graphics card, things like that. And if you diverge out of the standard mainline kernel support, then you almost always end up in trouble. Okay. The biggest problem I find with a lot of the GPUs under Linux, the external GPUs like AMD and previously to a lesser degree NVIDIA, is that they have this horrible tendency of running at a very high power level, even when you're just doing standard 2D stuff. And when you run your machines for 24/7, that adds up to quite a lot of heat, particularly when you're in an environment like this, where every kilowatt of extra heat you put into the room, you need about 5 kilowatts to get out of the room. So you can see why I try to avoid that as much as possible. Okay, well, this is obviously programmed, so I can now take that off. Let's go back to the overhead. OSIS, I don't know. I mean, I tried one about 3-4 years ago and still had dramas. And that was with the latest Ubuntu. Now someone now is going to jump in and say, well, you should be using Mate, or you should be using this, or you should be using that, or you should be using this. And that is pretty much getting down to the point that I'm talking about, is that I don't want to have to be fuckering around with differences, because sure, I'll use a different distro and it'll support it out of the box, but then something else is going to go wrong out of the box. And then someone else is going to go, well, you should be using this distro. And it's just going to be a merry-go-round of stupidity, which is what Linux is in general, but I love it. Like I say, it's no offense to people suggesting it, it's just that from experience I've found that there is no silver bullet if you stray outside of the main line. Okay, we're going to use the flux that's still there, the remnants of JSON, and that should be enough to do the job for me. AMD video driver support is better than Intel now. Yeah, I'll be. I might give that a query one day, just to see if you're telling porkies or not, or whether you're believing the porkies or not. But through and through, every time I've tried going with an external GPU, I've always found myself coming back with my tail between my legs and getting back to the Intel integrated GPUs. I think maybe if you're doing gaming or you're doing a lot of 3D work, then yeah, maybe the new stuff does work great. But for me, where 90% of what I'm doing is 2D, just editing and stuff, then it's very hard to, oh, for God's sake, you BIOS. It really didn't want to reflow. I was like, I don't want to sit down on this stupid motherboard. I mean, to be fair, I play Dota 2 on my 2013 iMac, which has an NVIDIA, I think 730 or something really ancient old thing. And it works great. But if I'm ever stupid enough to ask that machine to reboot, then it will sit there, look at me, will turn off the screen, and then that will be the last thing it does until I manually do the drowning reboot on it. So there's issues there. They're not the sort of issues that hit me on the daily basis, but there's issues. But of course, like I said, that is an older chipset, so it's not fair for me to be prejudiced against the external GPUs strictly on that. I mean, that would be, outdated, anecdotal data. Well, data point. Let's see, in 2025, Windows quits on Windows 10, Linux will be the way to go. Well, it looks like they're sort of like kind of slowly doing stuff more Linuxy. I doubt we'll ever sort of see them have a fully exposed Linux kernel as the core, but they do seem to be picking up quite a few things. Alright, that's looking almost clean enough. I mean, I applaud all the people who take the time out of their lives, literally, to try these new things and to, push the boundaries with what they're doing on Linux. I've done my time with that. I really, really have. Like I said, throughout the 90s and the early 2000s, I burned so many hours pushing Linux forward with things. And now it's time for me to be fat and lazy-ish. Which is probably why I now use and like iPhones and MacBooks. Look, when I retire for the evening and I want to go and watch some Criminal Minds or something like that, or some Rick and Morty or whatever, I grab my MacBook, I open up the lid, it straight away takes me to where I was last night and continues playing. And that's it. Now, before, when I used to try that on my Windows laptops, well, that would not happen. It'd be like waiting 3 minutes for it to actually wake itself back up. And that's even with an SSD. It's just a vastly different experience using MacBooks and iPhones. I mean, I used to have a bunch of Androids before. And then one day I thought, oh, you know what, I'm getting sick of this Samsung behavior of making their phones basically become complete dead weights 18 months after they've released them. And I happen to have an iPhone 6S Plus in rose gold nonetheless. And I thought, stuff it, I'm going to try it. And I hate to say it, but I never went back to the Android after that. It was like, God damn it, this is much easier to live with. Now, I understand the technical pros of using the Android system. I really do. But sometime in your life, you just sort of go, I really don't care. I just want it to be easier for me now. I mean, I love wrestling in the mud with some of the technical issues that Linux brings up, or programming, whatever. But yeah, after a while, 20 odd years, you do start to get a little bit sick of it. And you just want something, you have your own computer and your own phone that you use to be used, as opposed to use to experiment or discover or anything like that. You just want something you pick up that works. I mean, it would drive me insane with the Samsung phone that you just want to dial a number, just call someone, and it takes 3 seconds for the dial pad to come up, and then you press the keys and there's like a 150, 200 millisecond delay between you pressing the key and getting the response back that you pressed the key. Stuff like that, and it was just like, why is it like this? This is a flagship phone. Well, it was a flagship phone. It's 18 months old. Why the hell is it running like a piece of squished dog doo-doo? And I thought it was just me, so I flushed out the phone, reinstalled everything from scratch, all that sort of stuff, and it just never got better. To be fair, on the Samsungs, I'd say it's their, what's it called? They've got their user interface layer on it. I can't remember what it was. Clearview or something. I can't remember what it was. And when you go into the resources for the phone to see what was consuming what, that damn user interface would be right up there on the top, just going, don't mind me, buddy. I'm just keeping your phone going. Got to use up all the excess energy in the world. Yeah, Ice King, iPhone 6s are still entirely viable to this day. Agreeably, the 5S's and the SEs are starting to get a little bit weak now. But the 6's certainly got a good bit of life left in them. Definitely the 6S. And so I feel like a little bit of a traitor to the repair community for the fact that I can't quite have the same level of vitriol in my attack towards Apple. Business practice wise and the way they hide the data from us and all that sort of stuff, yeah, I'm all there. But in terms of their equipment, I hate to say it, but they do produce a superior solution, at least from a user perspective. I mean, currently I use an iPhone 7 Plus, which of course I have fixed the audio IC issue on. And my wife uses my old 6S Plus. My mother uses a 6S and an iPad. Yeah, I used to be very reluctant to give any of my family technical products like phones or computers, because I'd always be getting tech support demands. Damn it, I forgot to put the plastic clip in it. But now I don't really worry so much, in part because I can just sort of go, ask your friends. And that's a big factor. I can just tell them, ask your friends, or they ask their friends without me having to prompt them. Because everybody else basically uses the same iPhones and iPads, and they're generally consistent. Whereas with the Androids, you got, even within the same brand, 5 or 6 different variations of the system. Buttons are different on this one, menus are different on this one. No consistency, or at least not at a level that allows people to feel comfortable in supporting each other. But yeah, I mean, I'm happily going to stand up and say that Apple are a bunch of dicks for a lot of their practices, but I will also commend them on some of their products. I will tell them to go burn in hell for the A1534. I don't know what the hell they were thinking about when they did that one. It was like they let someone's nephew design it or something. I don't know. It was an absolute cluster truck. A1425 almost fell into that level too. But I really can't even... I wouldn't even compare the 1425 to the absolute disaster the 1534 is. Touch bar can go suck eggs as well, if you ask me. It was one of those novelty concepts that, yeah, once you're used to it, it's kind of convenient. But I think overall it's a detriment to the machine. Yeah, I really should have... just realised, I really should have been booting this to see if the chip even works. That was a bit foolish of me. Too busy ranting. Alright, let's boot and hope this boots. Let's put this cross flex on so I do have all items connected. Trouble with ranting with you people, you distract me. Okay, this probably won't actually boot properly without the battery connected. Yeah, this is already substantially faster. When I was trying to boot from the USB stick previously, it would just sit there and sit there and sit there and sit there. But now it's booting normally, so it looks like our ME region might be fixed up. Ice King, I try not to do rants. That's more the domain of New Yorker people. It's their speciality. For me, I should be more the moderate, boring type. The type you sit down, have a warm, comfortable cup of coffee or tea with, and fall asleep. Okay. O2Q6Y. Geez, I hope I read that correctly. Eyesight failing, well, going out of whack when you get older is a real pain in the butt, or a real pain in the eye. CO26, CO2, Q6Y, CO2. Okay, whew, got it right. I thought I might have transposed a digit then. You could always go for intelligent, considered rants. If they're intelligent, considered, then it tends not to too frequently become a rant. I gotta admit, most of my ranting does tend to happen more on pointless places like Facebook forums. Yeah, Joseph, I find it very hard to maintain a rant status when I talk. I mean, I can certainly be very pointed for a short period of time if I require it, but as a general rule it's not really in my makeup. Come on now. Admin media, I think I did say that, maybe, perhaps, maybe not. Well, let's see. If YouTube demonetizes me, then probably I did. I'm just waiting for this thing to stop spinning the fans. It's doing a long shutdown, probably waiting for the USB stick to, pardon me, sync up. Ugh, I hate it when it does this. Because if I just disconnect the power, then the USB stick's going to be like, "What you do that for, bro? Why? Why'd you do that to me? I was busy writing my cache." Yeah, it's still writing something. Oh, did I already talk about the tiles? Yeah, actually, I made the payment last night for the tiles, yeah. Fingers crossed they actually do turn up, because they still do have to get shipped over from Italy or whatever it is. Oh my goodness, what is taking this thing so long to write? No. Thank you, Kraken. Just tell YouTube to practice some Afrikaans. That is true, I could try that. Yeah, alright, maybe I'm going to have to just simply cut the power to this, because this is taking too long. I'm not going to sit around waiting for you to flush your cache. Put links to your recommended tools in Lewis's aim. Oh, you did, right. Oh, thank you, Sonia. Surprised he didn't ban you for that. He'd be like, "How dare you share the tools of another competing YouTuber?" Yeah, as if I'm even competing. The man probably acquires more subscribers in a 24-hour period than I do in a 1-year period. It's quite a disparity. And since I haven't been taking the time to edit videos in the last 12 months, YouTube's decided to get the old, take the carrot away and start feeding me the stick a little more. And I gotta say, it's making me think about it a bit. Because you certainly do see the limited income drop even further. I mean, I don't make $1 million out of YouTube, but yeah, it's a couple of $100 a month that is always useful to have. I would like it to get to the point where I can pay my mortgage by it, which would be nice. It means I pay off the house without actually having to take any clothes off. That's always a bonus. That is not how you put that, Paul. Oh my goodness, I almost did a terrible thing then. Lewis should sell flexible review license at Elixir. Lewis needs to, yeah. I guess the problem with the flexible review thing is now most of his audience is just, they're, what do you call it? They're numb to it. They hear it so many times, they hear my name so many times, it's become a non-event, as it were. I am hoping that he will be able to put forward a video soon to try and promote the open board data and, even more importantly, the board view development process that I'm working on. Rather than relying on Lewis to do everything, I sort of thought it was about time I put on my pants and actually, you know, take on the initiative and handle this myself, because he's already got enough stuff to deal with. He's already spearheading enough things, and I'm more the suitable person to be actually handling things like gathering open board data and gathering board view, generated board views by the community, because, you know, I'm the developer of FlexBoard View, and we've set the file format standards, and I know what I'm dealing with, rather than trying to proxy through Lewis, which just adds another point of delay and of course distracts Lewis from focusing on what he's meant to be doing or what he's good at doing. Let's see, Joseph King, personally I prefer the unedited streams, especially with chat left in. By the way, I don't add or remove chat at any time. So if you see that there's no chat on a YouTube stream, it's probably because YouTube just simply hasn't yet tied it in. It often takes a day or so before that happens, sometimes quicker. It's not me that chooses whether I have it or not. It's always set to include it on my side. Lewis was promoting me? What? I'm going to wonder what that's going to cost me now. Okay. Maybe panicked there for a moment. Didn't have a green light come up. What the fuck is going on? What's going on? Oh, it is on. Okay, this is a little weird. That took too long. Oh, I know what might have been happening. It needs a PRAM reset because we put the new EFI in, but it didn't know what drive to boot from because that table is cleared. So we have to shut it down and do the Command-Alt-PR thing. Trouble is, I couldn't hear the bong, and so I mistimed everything. That's better. Now we actually got the bong noise. We'll wait for it one more time. Okay. And straight away we get an Apple logo. Straight away. Look, that is a massive speed difference. Before it was 15 to 30 seconds, I don't know, before you would even see the Apple logo. Okay, so we've shut it down. Let's bring it back up again. Yeah, that's much better. That's how it should boot. That's how it should be. Not this protracted delay between the bong and the Apple logo showing up. This machine is running very slick now. So very happy to see that. I'll shut that down. Now we can boot from the USB stick again and do some rudimentary tests. Lewis would never accept the latest version of Flexboard View. He is superstitious. I mean, it pains me that now for all eternity the Wall Street Journal features Flexboard View and it's an old version. I mean, the new version is so much prettier. The new version has colored components and square pads. Just all the other little bits and pieces that make a difference. His version kind of looks like a glorified old open board view that I used to have before anything new and exciting was added. Nothing against open board view, by the way. I mean, crikey, I've put 2.5 odd years of hard work into that thing. I don't do so much anymore. Other people are handling it now, which is good. That's what I wanted. You set the foundation, grow it out to the point where other people then feel enticed to come in and add their contribution. And fortunately, because there is enough existing badly written code by me, it forces them to have to accept that they're going to also have to write badly written code in that same sort of standard. as opposed to coming in and going, I'm going to change everything because I know what I'm doing because I've done 6 months of university. And you're like, oh dear God, save me from these people. Enthusiasm is great, but occasionally it does have to have its toes chopped off. And I'm equally guilty for that, because that's exactly what I did with Open Board View, except I had more than 6 months of university behind me. I was professional. Alright, so we're doing 40 frames per second, 80, 90 frames per second. That's blimmin' quick. Definitely no dramas on this one now. Yeah, if I'm going to do an update, it'll be because I'll use one of the staff members at Rossmann Repair Group, not because I'll go through Lewis. Steve K, but they might go, this isn't the product that I bought. I saw it on Wall Street Journal and it's supposed to look like this. I want a refund. And sadly, I would not be surprised if someone tried that on me, because they just try every now and then, sort of every 3 months, I get someone trying to scam me out of a license. Joseph King, sounds like excellent experience there. I agree. But it is true though that when Open Board View sort of first came out, and Pilnov and Matt and PathMath and a couple of others, they had just sort of done the Linux build version and stuff like that, and I just walked in and made my fork, which everybody's allowed to make their own fork. But I walked in, made my fork, and I spent probably the next 2 weeks just going through and changing so many things in a very bad waterfall development style, which is basically you make changes, you look at it, and then you go back up to the top, make changes, you just sort of keep going over. And then what really sealed the deal is the fact that I started pursuing Lewis. The others were trying to get Lewis's attention, but I just happened to get lucky enough to be the one that did get Lewis's attention. And so I started putting him on my fork of Open Board View. And after I had done so much, then poor old Pionov, he basically was stuck with migrating all of the horrible changes that I'd made and trying to make them a little prettier and merging them into the main trunk of Open Board View. So yeah, basically I was a bit pushy and shoved my version in the way. But sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes, like particularly when it's trying to get the attention of someone like Louis Rossmann, you really have to take your opportunities where you can. Did you include a 2.9 or 3.1 version in the description? Probably not. That sounds like hardware. That sounds like documentation to me. So yeah. Yeah, I mean that's it. Business is business, and at that time, I think Lewis had about 100, just over 100,000 subscribers or something like that. Getting to close to 150,000, and it was difficult to get his attention already at that point. Now I got lucky because of Micro, my cat Micro, and Lewis happened to see Micro as my avatar picture. If it wasn't for Micro, I probably would not have gotten Lewis's attention. Travis, yeah, with you, it's just because everybody likes to pick on you. It's you set yourself up for that. No, just kidding, just kidding. But yeah, it's sometimes you can sit back and let the world find your product. Other times you have to go out there and shove it in the face of people. And Lewis is one of those people where you really did need to shout. Not so much louder, but you had to shout in a way that was different to everybody else to get his attention. And I think it probably was 3 or 4 times I managed to get his attention at the right time before he finally made that connection. And from there, yeah, things went well. of course, that was until he got a little too comfortable with me and he started the abuse up. And yeah, I had to take shelter and take consultations, go see psychologists and things like that. Yeah, the abuse was rife. It was very bad. And then eventually Lewis realized the error in his ways and he apologized. He put up another video and all is good again. So, and that story is a load of bullshit. Yeah. Someday he may learn to say Mike or mate. Yeah, well. Alright, I think we are done here. I'm just waffling on, making a load of absolute bollocks talk. By the way, someone mentioned that Lewis knows about me saying something that he wants to turn into a soundbite. I think it was Sweet Mercy or something like that. I don't know. Where did the Sweet Mercy thing come from? I don't remember it. And why is it even relevant? I don't know the story behind this. It's kind of weird to have people talking about something you have done and you're not even consciously aware of it. Crikey. Yeah, mate. Flippin' oath. Yes, indeed. Crikey. Struth. Didn't expect that. Fair dinkum, mate. It's a really tough way to live out here. When Diablo stream? Yeah, maybe when I get the latest reworked version of Diablo 2. I want to get that, but I haven't seen it on Steam yet or for Linux, so I'm not sure I will in any time soon. Add a note stating that all modifications will be added with notification. Nah, notifying people of modifications is no point. The modification itself is the notification. Yeah, no whacking furries, mate. I don't really do Australian accent very well. It's not natural to me. I actually find South African to be a more natural inclination. And I don't know why, but maybe it's because I was born in South Australia rather than Queensland or one of the other more ochre type states of Australia. But anyway, yeah, nah, mate. Yeah, so's my face. Yeah, here's my face. Yeah, nah, mate. Isn't yeah, nah, mate, or similar, fairly universal now? Anyway, you guys are making me waste time here. Tragic. I am out of here. I'm going to do some more coding. I've got to go catch up on the GenCAD thing. I need to see if we can find a way to export the outline of the boards, because right now we've just got the minimum bounding box for the outline, which it works, but it's not very pretty. So anyway, I will catch you all later. So thank you very much for sticking around for this rather protracted BIOS update. It's nearly taken an hour. It doesn't really take this long, but when I get involved with you guys and girls, it really does. Alright, I'm out here. You take care. See you next time.